We welcome author and traveller Nicos Hadjicostis to the studio to talk about his book, Destination Earth, A New Philosophy of Travel by a World Traveller. And we'll also be talking to him about the importance of what his views are in terms of this philosophical legacy which he talks about. But before we do that, after a successful career in media in Cyprus, I think what the listener would like to know is, what inspired you to embark on this 6.5-year journey? Was this planned? Was it spur of the moment? Or was it part of what you refer to in some of your promotions as an inherent restlessness within?
Thank you very much for inviting me here to speak about my book. The thing that triggered everything was a midlife crisis at around the age of 35. I was in the media. I had a very rich life in terms of experiences and learning and everything. But at some moment I felt some emptiness, which is actually quite normal. It has been studied in the works of Carl Gustav Jung, the great psychologist, that there's a midlife crisis that is the equivalent to the adolescent crisis, and you move from, let's say, the early adulthood to late adulthood. And I decided to leave the media world. For 4 years I was a little bit confused. I studied books, I meditated on the meaning of life, and then I decided that it was time to leave my country, Cyprus, and see a little bit from the world. I wandered a little bit in Europe, in Germany, Russia, even here in London I lived for a while, and then I decided to travel around the US. After traveling for 6 months, I got the travel bug and I said, oh my God, there are so many things I don't know about this planet of ours. Why not expand it a little bit? And my original plan was to travel around the world for a little bit of less than 2 years, but it turned out that the world is much bigger than I had thought or I had imagined, and I ended up traveling for 6.5 years.
So travel inspired travel in a sense?
Yes, and that's the best way actually.
No, I can see how that's worked for you. Now I know you consider the world as one single destination, but if you had to choose a country or an experience that stands out for you, what would it be?
Ooh, you go directly to the little things that are important. Well, many countries. First of all, there are some countries like, say, China or the United States that, although they are one country, they are actually continents. The United States is as big as Europe. Actually, it's bigger than Western Europe, and probably as big as the whole of Europe with European Russia. And China, it's also huge. So you can't really compare Cyprus with China, or it's difficult to do that. But some countries stand out, and one is, of course, the United States because of its great range of landscapes, and China also. New Zealand for its beautiful landscapes. Costa Rica for the many different biozones. Indonesia for its many different cultures. And of course, some countries that are not so well known, like, let's say, Papua New Guinea or the Solomon Islands, that live in what we consider the Stone Age or the Bronze Age. So you can actually travel to the past of humanity, which is something I discovered during my journey. And it's something amazing to go there. And of course, it's Japan. And I mentioned that in the first chapter of my book, that you can actually time travel when you travel around the world. If you go to Japan, I think it's the only country in the world that lives in the 22nd century. So by traveling to Japan, you get an idea of what the world will be after you pass away. So, and it's a positive version, I think, of the future. So I would suggest that people go to Japan to see how the world will be.
In my interpretation, in order to get the whole message of travel, the book, and your developing philosophy, we need to appreciate 3 key concepts which run throughout the book: magnification, what you call wise line, and the soul of a country and the soul of a people.
Capturing the soul, yes.
Yeah, could you explain that in kind of layman's terms, of what it means and what it would mean to somebody that would be likely to experience those things?
Yes, magnification is the level with which you decide to explore a country. So if you come to London and you stay for 4 days, that's a very low level of magnification. If you stay for 3 months, then you delve deep into the history of London, the culture, culture of Londoners and so on, and you get to know what it is to be a Londoner. If you come and you get one of those red buses and you travel around, it's like watching television. So the magnification basically makes you think of how deep you want to explore a place. And it's good to think about that before you visit a place. Let's not go deep into that. I expanded in the book. The wise line is, how do you go about exploring a place? So you have, let's say, Peru. Peru has 3 different zones. You have the desert, you have the coast, and you have the tropical area. So how do you explore Peru? It's good to get a representative cross-section of the country by visiting all these 3 different areas. And I analyze how you go about exploring a country, having as a guide the main features of that country, and how you carve a wise line in the same way that you learn history, let's say, and your teacher tries to find what are the main features of an epoch. And capturing the soul of a country is the ultimate aim of a long-term traveler. You want to feel, to get to know what it means to be a member of the foreign culture. So I would say that capturing the soul of China means that after traveling a few months in China, you start feeling what it means to be a Chinese in China.
So this kind of takes multiculturalism to a different level, doesn't it?
Yes, you can actually feel what it means to be a member of another society when you take that society seriously, and when you leave behind your comfort zone and you are open to experience new cultures.
Now, did these observations come to you straight away, or was this a case of, I've been there, you sat down and you thought about it and it all clicked into place?
Yeah, it came slowly. I mean, I started developing the philosophy after this 2 years or 3 years of travel, some ideas. I realized that the longer I stayed at a place, the more I started delving deeper into the society. So I started traveling more slowly. That's why the journey ended up, to connect it with what I said at the beginning, it ended up lasting for 6 years rather than 2 years. Because, for example, when I went to the Solomon Islands that I mentioned earlier, and I saw, oh my God, these people live like people used to live 5,000 years ago. I'm having a glimpse of the past of humanity that I studied in books. And I wanted to go deep, and there are some interesting incidents. I slept with people in their huts next to pigs, because they bring the pigs inside the hut because they're afraid of pig thieves. And, sleeping with a pig in a hut, it's something unique and something that stays with you forever, and it transforms you in a way. And this transformative element of long-term travel is what distinguishes it from the touristic type of travel that people are used to nowadays.
I noticed this natural theme once again throughout the book. Now, there are some wonderful, sometimes shocking photographs in the book from White Island in New Zealand, which just stands out as one of the most picturesque things I've seen in a travel book. But then there's a picture of a buffalo being slaughtered for a religious ceremony, but all the time there are photographs of people in their natural habitat. Sometimes not so flattering, sometimes just as you would see it. Talk me through some of those amazing photos.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, the White Island is at the beginning of the book. It's an amazing place, and even many New Zealanders don't know it exists. This is shocking, actually. Some people live next to these amazing wonders and they have never visited them. The White Island is a private island, belongs to somebody, and he does... there are guided tours, and they take you there, and you wear your gas mask, and it's a volcanic island, completely active, and you see these fumes. It's like you visit another planet. By traveling around the Earth, you also visit many different planets. The Earth is not one planet. It's not what you think it is. It has all these microcosms that each one of them might be thought of as belonging to another planet or even another galaxy. The White Island is amazing. I mean, I can't imagine that people will come on this Earth, depart from this Earth, and not see the White Island of New Zealand.
Did you just see these shots and you thought, I've got to take it right now?
Yes. Exactly. It's more impressive than the photos. You know, it's something because you feel the smoke, and you walk and you see this bubbling water coming out of the earth, and it's something astonishing. And you mentioned also the dead buffaloes. This is from the amazing funeral ceremonies in the center of Sulawesi. It's called the Tanah Toraja. It's an animistic society in Indonesia, and when somebody dies, they try to collect a lot of money, and they bury him only when they have $10,000 to $20,000, and they invite the whole village, and they do celebrations for 3 weeks. It's a celebration death, actually, for them. It's like we celebrate the weddings in Greece or here in England, you know.
But what did it all mean to you after 6.5 years? The book, the experiences. What did it mean to you, Nicos?
Yes, I think the most important thing of long-term travel, and world travel in particular, which is a special case of long-term travel, is that you are being transformed as a person. There are two journeys, the outer journey and the inner journey. And the more you move outwards into the world, you are being moved inwards. And you are not the same person at the end of the journey that you were at the beginning of the journey. And when people ask me, what is the most important thing that I have learned from this journey, is that we are all world citizens, and that's the last chapter of the book also. We are all members of humanity. We are part of humanity. This is the substratum upon which we build all our differences. Our nationalistic loves, and our sex, and our the cultural differences are all being built on this substratum that we all share. And this thing that we all share takes precedent over all the things that differentiate us. I think that's the most important thing which I have at the end of the book.
How can I get hold of, Destination Earth?
Yes, well, it's being sold in Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk, and here in England we have it at the very old historic bookshop of London, Watkins Books, and I will be speaking there also on Thursday at 6:30 in the afternoon. Everybody's invited to come. It's an open for all event, and we're trying to put it in many other books. It's a self-published book. It's not being published by a big publisher, but the actual production of the book is of a very high level. There are nice photos. And
thank you so much for speaking to London Greek Radio.
Thank you for inviting me here. Thank you.